Thrashing hails from Finland. This time we go, well, technically speaking, to Australia. All the way to the country, down under, with this album by the band called Harlott, and it's called Detritus of the Final Age. Now, 2017, the band actually made a very, very good thrash metal album, and even if before that the band wasn't actually, in my radar, now they were very much so. And when I heard news about this new album, I was very, very excited because, well, there are not too many thrash metal bands doing the kind of a traditional thrash metal without blending it the kind of a mandatory evil. So often doing sort of a trash death or trash back combination, and me being a fan of old school thrash. I mean, I do like death metal and I do like black metal, but when I go for thrash and those other genres, I really like to dig into the pure form of thrash metal. And that, my friends, is exactly what Harlott is doing. So here I show you the new CD by the band. And this four-man piece has clearly been pondering what to do next. No doubt, I guess, coronavirus as well as some, I would guess, success has really slowed things down a bit, considering that the time between this and the latest one was a little bit longer than previously. But nevertheless, here it is after 3 years, well, almost 3.5 years. And, well, no, it is here, Harlott once again. How much are they going to kick ass this time? Well, luckily so, quite a lot. Let's take this band's Metal Archive site here in the background while I'll tell you a little bit more. So as you can see, the band is not that old. Well, 14 years and 4 albums. But these 4 albums have come out in a span of 7 years. So quite active. What really, strikes me here if I take a look at this basic Metal Archive site for the band, the default site is that 92% for 1 album, then 55, and then 99 for 2. Well, that's a good thing. But I mean, I really don't care so much about Metal Archive's reviews. First of all, why should I care about other reviews? And secondly, sometimes they really don't make much of sense if you take a look at the reviews and compare to the actual review score or otherwise. Anyway, the point here is it kind of seems like it's dividing people's opinions, and that is, in my opinion, a good or at least interesting thing. However, in my opinion, I wouldn't rate them as high as 99%, nor I would never go as near as like 55. My point here is Harlott is a good band and totally deserves more attention, and I hope with this review at least a couple of people will be checking out the new album by the band. Now, on this album side, we have the track list very much shown here, so it includes a Cannibal Corpse cover, and overall is some 48 minutes. That might seem quite a lot of music for a thrash metal band. I mean, considering that many of the classic ones are between some 30, 40 minutes, and you don't really want to push too much that boundary because, I mean, thrash metal can be so overwhelming music, with kind of heavy and fast-paced riffs and, just so much energy included that with, too lengthy an album and you were like exhausted, like, it's just like more like running a sprint versus a marathon. It's not like, hey, we just go for a jog. You go for, I don't want to curse so much. It's like, hill sprinting, all of that stuff. It gets heavy, it gets exhausting, and you're like sweating like a pig when you run with through with these kind of bands. Sorry for rambling. I'm just kind of excited about this album. Now the point here is Harlott has been kind of honing and polishing their stuff all the way, since the very beginning, and it doesn't really come as a surprise that they have been able to manage get to deal with labels such as Metal Blade. I mean, they have really good playing. I mean, these guys know how to both execute with the instruments as well as to compose the songs. They're pure in what they do, and that's very good. I mean, they have these Morse part riffs, they have these, down-picking parts, and they have the parts that get you all the way going through, You kind of have your neck training done when you're listening to this kind of music. Now, on top of that, they really have the A-class production. I would really call this an excellent overall sound with the album. I mean, it is totally, picking all the instruments and, giving them a crisp, clear production, and yet still not sounding like so many albums, especially in the past years, like they went to a big studio with a good producer and everything was like, yeah, this is kind of a boring, soulless mainstream sound. But what Harlott is doing here, I mean, you can pretty much hear the bass guitar, and of course you can hear the main guitar or guitars, and drum sound very powerful. Everything is there to just support one another. Mixing is very, very well balanced, and of course you have those energetic vocals which are there to give you these commands, thrash metal commands. Now, if I had to complain a little bit, which I always have to do, I mean, you are not really much of a critic or review guy if you just praise everything from the down up and all that stuff. Now, I have to say, I liked the previous one a little bit more. Maybe it had more catch riffs, more hit song potential, but this is not far away from that. I mean, even though this is missing some of the hits, I mean, I'm obviously comparing to the big thrash ones. The bands like Slayer, Anthrax, Metallica, and all that stuff. So obviously when you're going for the A series, which in my opinion Harlott is already kind of a part of. I mean, it may be not that big, given it's a lot younger band, but quality-wise, this is not, lagging behind of those big names. Very much in the same series in terms of quality, songwriting, production, all that stuff. The only thing with what kind of bothers me is that this is lacking those hit songs, the ones that really, go on radio plays and music videos, and you get just kind of looping in your heads. At first you might even hate them, but eventually you figure out why they are exactly the hit songs, the kind of riffs that really drill it in your brain, and you're like, yeah, I know why I'm going through with these songs. I mean, everybody knows the big bands and their big songs, and, well, you might love them, you might hate them, but they are there to be played. And that's my only problem with the album, so not really a big problem overall. In my opinion, this is definitely one of the best thrash metal albums of the year, and given that there is not much competition, at least in this A series, at least there are bands like Sodom, which is very much putting a little bit of a fight against Harlott. However, all this being said, I think this is one of the thrash metal bands that you should be checking out if you haven't done it before. There's no excuse for a thrash metal band to ignore Harlott. I think that's a big thing to be said, but I mean, it's not a given thing. So many bands out in the world and so many good bands are going to be missed just because you don't know them just yet. So correct your mistakes. Check out Harlott, check out this one, check out the previous ones. Well, and like it. Just enjoy it, embrace some good, solid thrash metal. That's my advice. And you don't get better advice, not for free anyway. Thank you for watching the review. Check out the links provided and enjoy.